Thank you very much for joining us. I don't have to tell you, tomorrow is Super Tuesday, and today we have one of the folks who will be on your ballot around here. If you take a Republican ballot, but independents can do that. Jill Ussach joins us representing she is a committee woman for the 2nd Bristol Plymouth District. Okay, so that said, she's going to be on the ballot tomorrow and is here to tell us why folks should vote for you. And we welcome you to the show.
My pleasure, Phil. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Before we get to anything, I know you. I know most people.
Yeah, you do.
You have, aside from politics, you're such a fabulous person as a human being.
Well, thank you, sir. My mother would love to hear that word.
And I loved your mom and your dad.
That's my mom.
So, here's why I bring it up, folks. Jill Ussach has obviously been a servant to the public in many ways. But what you have done for kids who are failing in education is you've become a mentor for them. What you've become for what I call kids, young people at the prison, is you've become an example for them. You've inspired them to learn. You've done so much. You've been on the school committee. So the reason I'm bringing this up is I don't care politically right now. I'm talking about you as a human being. You are a very, very decent person.
Well, I hope I am. I try to do the right thing. Have I always done the right thing? I guess not. I'm human, but I was brought up that way with principles and to give back to the community. I must say I enjoyed my time on the school committee very much. I enjoyed the younger students and everything. But I think the most rewarding thing in my life has been, in the latter years now, is working with the women that are incarcerated. You can't reach them all, very few maybe, but I have made a difference, I think, in a few of their lives.
Yes, you have.
And that means a lot to me because these women are going to go back out into society, they're going to re-enter, and it's my job and other teachers with me. I'm not the only one, we have some great teachers. And it's to try to keep that recidivism down and to let them know that they do have a second chance, that they're not bad people. They may have done a bad thing, but try to go out there and make a difference in society.
Here's what I love about you. You help them redefine themselves, because right now a lot of people who are in that cycle keep defining themselves by their actions, by their behaviors. And you help them redefine that by educating them, by telling them, listen, there's more to life than that cube that you're in, that circle that you're in. And this is why I wanted to bring out who you are as a person before we talk about why you're running for state committee woman.
Well, we try. You know, naturally I'm intelligent enough to know that there's some people that are just there to be educated for the good time, and they are just there, you know, to pass the time of day, and they're going to go out. Part of the problem I heard you talk about, I think, is the fact that they do go back into society, and if they stay with the same people that they knew who got them into trouble anyways, or hang around with an element of people that could lead them down the wrong path again, then recidivism, you know, is a likelihood for them.
Right.
But we have had a few that have really made a difference. Some have gone on to college, which I think is great, and some of them realize that there is a way to motivate themselves. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy because they have quarry checks and they have felonies.
Right. But it's people like you that make a difference.
Well, I think
in
some
their
of them,
lives.
Well, I try.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us that are doing it, but I
Sure.
think the difference also is that some of these men and women, although basically now I work with the ladies, is that they have to understand that the onus is on them. And they have to have a lot of fortitude, and it's twice as hard for them too, because you've got to remember they're going back into society. They feel they have that stigma of a felony or a quarry check. Somebody may not hire them. They get a lot of doors closed to them.
Of course.
But there are a lot of companies today who will give them a second chance. There are a lot of quarry-friendly jobs. But it's that interval between the time they leave and go back that they get discouraged and they do something naughty and back again.
And of course, you know, unfortunately, we have people in this community who perpetuate that stigma. You know, if you go up to somebody and say, I'm applying for a job at your business, and they say, where have you been the last, 18 months or 2 years, and you say, I've been in prison, all of a sudden they go, oh boy, I'm not going to hire this person. So there is that we have to overcome if we want to solve the problem. If not, it's just going to continue on. So that said, we talked about who you are as a person. What is a state committee woman?
Well, everybody asks that. A lot of people don't know. What we do is we work on the bylaws, we work on caucus delegations, how business is run internally. We go out and we hold signs for candidates that we think are worthy. We support them. We do calls for them. We do house visits. We do all things of that nature, so that when we get a good person that we feel is got a great message to send and is taking an interest into growing our grassroots in our party, we are more than happy to support them and to do all we can on the state committee to get them integrated into the Republican Party, to retain them and to get them to spread their message. And hopefully we're going to get a lot of younger college students coming up the road, because you know, we're all aging. And I'm noticing that a lot of the population of our Republicans are getting older. And I think it's my job to try to innovate some young people.
How do you do that?
Well, I think you have to inspire them. I think you have to tell them about the party, what your goals are, what you stand for.
Tell us about the party. Inspire us about the party.
Well, I think I have a great party. Number one, I'm really proud of our governor that we've elected this time. You know, I think Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito are doing a great job. They've got about a 74% approval rating, which is highly refreshing considering the political atmosphere of this country now.
They deserve it. They're doing a great job.
And will everybody like what they do? Heavens no. You know, when you're out in the political field, I put myself up every day, and so does everybody on a much higher level than me, to criticism. And that's what it is, because no one is ever going to like anything you do.
Yeah, but we're talking about the positive.
But he does.
A lot of people love Charlie Baker and Karen Polito.
And they do, because I think what Charlie does is he listens. He doesn't talk first, he listens. He listens to the other ideas across the aisle, whether it's your party, a liberal person, a conservative, a moderate,
He's always been that
a Democrat,
way.
right?
He's always been that way. He's always listened to all voices and doesn't put a separation between. But now, what about the party itself? If people are listening right now, saying, well, how would you describe what a Republican is in the Republican Party in Massachusetts?
Well, we have a composite of Republicans in our party. We have the Tea Party sector, which is very conservative, and they bring a lot to the table. I can't say they don't. And we have our more moderate center-right group, and they bring a lot. I think what I want to see my party learn to grow and do is to come together. That's what I want to see. I don't like the inner fighting. Of course, that's politics for you. Dirty tricks, nasty things, little innuendos. That's part of the deal when you play the game. But I think what we need to do is we have to look at ourselves as members of a party that have one united front.
What is that?
We want, we want to have good education. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance, that you do get a helping hand. I hear a lot from people on the other side will say, well, you're for rich people, you're a rich party and that. Well, if I'm so rich, why am I still working? Also, I think it's unfair, that stigma that we're a party of the rich, because you have a lot of affluent, rich Democrats like Senator Kerry and all these people. I mean, it's capitalism. That's the country we live in. You can grow wealth. It's what you do with it.
I know many wealthy Democrats.
I do too, and there's some of them are lovely, lovely people. I want to be told by my constituents and anybody that speaks to me, Mrs. Ussach or Jill, whichever you want to call me, I don't like what you did. I wish you would look at this or that, and I'm open to that. I'm open to criticism.
You've always been fair.
Because I'm not perfect.
So that's how you define the Republican Party, as being a party that is concerned about making life more qualitative.
I think so. I think we want to see people, we want to work on immigration issues. We want to look at business in the area. We want to look at delegates, how we grow the party. And most of all, I think we're a party that lets people know that We're willing to give them a helping hand, to help them out,
Okay.
but the onus is on them, that they have a right to be anything they can be, to grow their businesses. I think we've got a lot of great values in my party.
So, tomorrow you're on the ballot as a state committee woman, and why should people vote for you?
Well, I think because I fight for what I believe in. You know, no, I don't go out, though, I will say. I'm not a person that goes out with bullhorns, and I don't go out and protest. That is not my style, but I respect that. Everybody has a different style.
Mm-hmm.
My avocation is to work internally and with the community. I go to houses, I do a lot of outreach, I support candidates locally. I did a lot of work, although she isn't in my district, for Keiko O'Rell. When she ran, I think she's a great representative. Right now, I'm having the pleasure of working for Mark Allegro. I'm doing some work for Mark, doing house parties, going around, spreading his name out. Mark is running for the congressional seat in the 9th District, and I'm representing him from the tip of Fall River here,
Sure.
right down to part of Wareham. I like his message. He's a conservative Tea Party man. I like what he has to say, yet I'm in between. I'm not totally conservative, but I'm fairly conservative. So I guess
What
you
does
call
that
me.
mean?
Well, I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm a firm believer in the
Okay.
Second Amendment. I think you have the right to carry a gun. I think anybody that gets a hold of a gun is going to get a hold of it, regardless of where the amendment stands and regulations. You know, no matter how many rules you put on, you have to have a lot of gun rules. You do, for the safety of the community and the nation as a whole. But also, you've got to stop and think that if somebody's going to perpetrate a crime, they're going to find a way. They're going to get a hold of the gun. The recent shootings tell you that. They get a hold of weapons. But I do believe that the government was set up, I do believe it was set up with certain regulations, amendments to the Constitution, and they're there for our protection. And I do support the Second Amendment and people's rights to have guns.
What else is a conservative?
Well, I think a conservative is somebody that tries to be passionate, tries to cross lines, tries to speak up for their party, tries to speak up for the individual who has no voice to be heard. And that's what I try to do. And I try to bring values into it. I try to see both sides of the aisle and make an intelligent selection.
So, if you're going to be a state committee woman, what direction do you see the Republican Party going? Because you're part of that platform, part of the foundation.
Well, I don't see why it can't go as a composite of both our Tea Party members and our center-right people. Because when we have meetings, a lot of people who are so-called conservative Tea Party people sit in the back of the room. And they have ideas, they have things that they want to put forth. Who am I to say they're not good ideas, you know? I agree with a lot of their ideas, else I wouldn't be working for somebody like Mr. Allegro. But I'm a little bit, maybe a little more center-right, but I'm still fairly conservative. I believe in pro-life. I'm a definite pro-life person. I do not believe in partial abortions. I think that's heinous. I'm dead set against that. As far as it goes for building a wall, when they talk about that, I think that it's almost going to be impossible to ever get rid of 11 million so-called people. I'm saying that anybody who's in this country now that hasn't perpetrated a crime, that has a clean record, that have paid their tax, that have worked hard and done their duty while they're here, let them maybe pay a fine of that, give them a chance to get citizenship and leave them here. Anybody that has done something heinous or perpetrated crimes and they've got a record, I believe in deporting them. As far as the refugees, someone asked me that question the other day. That would be against the Second Amendment not to let people into this country. The only concern I have is I want them vetted. I want to vet them so that we can make sure that we're not having people come across that could be a problem. I mean, look at Germany. They just took in 800,000 refugees, and that they can't account now for 140,000 of them. That scares me a little bit, but that doesn't mean I don't support this Constitution and let people in.
Of time. Jill Ussach is joining us, a candidate for re-election to the Republican State Committee. You, along with Brock Cordero, both of you have been endorsed by a lot of great folks and whatnot. Some of that has created criticism. I I know Howie Carr was criticizing the folks like you and who have been endorsed by the governor. He had a problem with that, saying that the others were the ones who speak for the people. What do you think of that criticism?
Well, who are the others supposed to be? I mean, legally he has that right. I can't stop anybody from saying they don't like this or that. So more power to him, and he has the microphone so he can say it. But who are the others? I thought we're all Americans, all Republicans, all one part of a party. That's what I want to see, the dissension stop between the two. Why can't we melt our ideas together and work together? You know, I don't see in this country, of course that's a perfect utopia. It's never going to happen. But I don't, it disheartens me to see today how outspoken and volatile, I don't mind people being outspoken, that's their right, but how volatile things are becoming. You know, if I don't like you, you're a crook, you're a jerk, you're an educated.
Too galvanized.
Well, it is. And how are you ever going to have common ground if you can at least simmer down and try to listen to the other person? Not asking you to change your ideas or think the way I do, but all I'm asking you is to keep an open mind and be civil. And that's kind of scary today.
Let me give you the last few minutes here. We're running out on time to speak with your constituents and to folks who might consider voting for you tomorrow, Jill.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Jill Ussach, running for State Committee Woman. What are your thoughts?
Well, all I'm asking is that people take a good look at me. I've really tried to do the right thing. I support the governor. I support, you know, I'm really glad that we have somebody on Beacon Hill with morals and principles. I think it's refreshing for a change. I think he's fair. I think they're open-minded. And I think you're going to see good things come to the state, and particularly the South Coast, which I think we've lost a lot through past administrations, that they kind of come down here, fluff us around when it comes time for elections and that, and do a lot. But Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito take an interest in this area. I know they do. They're concerned with our constituents and how things are going on here. And I think that's something we haven't seen a great deal of, but that's just my opinion. But I think it's nice to have a governor that's accepted by a lot of Democrats, and there's not constant fighting. Are they going to agree on everything? Absolutely not. But at least I think they think he's fair and open-minded, and that's refreshing.
It certainly is. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
And thank you for who you are as a person as well, Jill.
Well, I try. I think my mom she'd like to hear that. I hope she does. You know, I believe.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Tomorrow is Super Tuesday for State Committee Woman. There is, of course, you have a competition.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So, and Brock Cordero is running unopposed.
Correct.
All right. So there you go, folks. For those of you who will be voting on the Republican ballot, there are some considerations for you. I'm Phil Paleologos. It's 9:25. Thank you so very much for joining us here in the morning.